now. Ladies and gentlemen, the most expensive CSGO inventory of all time has recently been hacked, and that is of course no other than HFB. A multi-million-dollar CSGO inventory worth around $3 million in skins have recently been sold to a third-party website traded amongst other accounts for the hacker. And these skins were of course one of a kind, one-for-one karambits, the no-star karambit, the lowest float skin in the entire game, souvenir factory new dragon lores of course, the Hiko pattern karambit, which is probably the most popular in that I imagine, which is worth around $50,000, dragon lores over 100,000, just to give you guys some sort of example here. And well, just like every other huge trader in Counter-Strike with, I would say, over $100,000 in skins, most of these guys like to private their accounts. And this was recently privated for a very, very long time. And well, when it did get unprivated to the public, where people were actually able to see what was inside of it, that caused a lot of attention, good and bad. And that kind of sparked the idea that he was hacked, which he was. So in today's video, we're going to break down and discuss the current situation that happened with this guy and how maybe just your average Joe can kind of stay out of the way of this. And of course, what happened to these skins since this guy got hacked, which is actually very, very interesting. And let's just say it's something that Valve doesn't really ever do and most likely won't ever do again. And if they do, and well, that might cause some major controversy. With that being said, and before we hop into today's commentary and overview of what happened, here's a quick word from our video sponsor, Skins Monkey.
Hi you, yes you. Would you like to get $5 for free for your first trade? Just use skinsmonkey.com and get your extra skins. See description below to enjoy the special promotion and receive 5% cashback for trading your CSGO skins.
So from the beginning, HFB is a huge trader in CSGO and a huge collector, mainly collector. And when he got unprivated, a lot of people thought maybe he was going to be selling or buying some skins or just for people to see, because that's really the only reason why he would unprivate his profile in the first place, is really to trade with someone else, because you have to have a public profile or a public inventory at the very least. And well, when this hack occurred, apparently the Steam authenticator was not moved to a different phone, a phone number was not changed, an email was not changed. That indicated right there that it was most likely an iCloud hack. Now, this is something I've covered, how most people on CSGO, in my personal opinion, anything over $5,000 or $6,000 should probably have some sort of Android device. It seems kind of weird that that should be the case, but that should be it, in my personal opinion. An iCloud hack is pretty much inevitable, at least if someone has your name, your email, to even the highest degree, in my personal opinion. If a hacker wants to find out who you are and how to trace you, they most likely will. And once they get your iCloud, well, you're logged into Steam, all your passwords are saved on there, and it's just really easy to get in from there. And then through that, they trade through third-party websites because they have the authenticator and they can probably get into everything else as well. And this is what happened in this exact situation. That's what most people assume anyway, but besides that, no one really knows. And these were sold on a Russian peer-to-peer website and to actual people. So these were traded to one actual real accounts of people who paid real life money for this, upwards of 50 or 60,000 US dollars. And these of course were on peer-to-peer sites like a place like Buff, or the biggest CSGO trading site and buying place, marketplace, peer-to-peer site in Russia, which is pretty cool. And I gotta say, it looks very, very sketchy. As of right now, apparently people are hiding things in storage units that they received from this account. And the hacker himself sent out a few skins that he got from this scam to his alt accounts and hid them in storage units where Valve can't trace them. And this is where things, in my opinion, get a little frightening, especially for a person who trades CSGO skins. Obviously not at this degree, never will probably ever have to go this, and most people will never have to see this or go through this ever in their life. Another thing to note in the post edit as well, Arrow has recently tweeted out on top of this that a guy who bought the number 1-2 lowest float hot rod yesterday, all bananaed out apparently. Every single skin he received from that trade was deleted by Steam support on the 22nd of June at 5:48 a.m., which is extremely scary, in my personal opinion, for the future, that Valve can just come in and, of course, delete items you get in a trade, scam worthy or not. It's just kind of sketchy and scary, in my personal opinion. But Valve actually stepped in, and this is the first time I believe they have stepped into the game and actually faulted and halted a trade since like 2014. And that is, of course, they reversed the trade. They at least took the trade away. So let's just say you were a buyer of one of these on a peer-to-peer site like Buff or a random third-party website like this one in Russia, for an example. They canceled that transaction. You bought that on a third-party website. You put that in your inventory. Some guy got a Pandora's box pair of gloves, which were really, really nice, really low float. And well, those, for an example, where when he woke up in the morning, weren't there anymore, surprisingly. And they're not in HFB's inventory anymore either, which is just kind of concerning in my personal opinion. And these people, of course, aren't VAC banned. They're trade banned and mostly community banned. So they can't use the community market, they can't trade. And to sum things up for people who don't really know this, it's pretty much a shadow ban. No one can see that you're actually banned, but you actually are, if that makes any sense. And while there are some good points of this as well, apparently Buff came in and said they would refund the buyers of the items, which is very, very nice. But since they aren't affiliated with Valve, they pretty much just tolerate them. And this was actually an answer from Arrow's recent tweet, which we will get into very, very soon. I'm assuming on the third-party websites, when you click to sign up with their terms of service, they probably have somewhere in there if something like this happened. And if anyone cheated with those skins and got the ban, they're not accountable, which they aren't. As soon as you buy that skin, you are accountable. But in this scenario, it's really weird. Steam steps in, and this is where I have a problem with it, in a good and bad way. You know, what's stopping them from doing this in a bad way in the future, just randomly? I mean, they'll probably have a chance to actually look over what actually happened and what went wrong, but could this cause things to get duped again in the future? I have no idea. And to get it into Arrow's recent tweet, he's found a lot more information, which has been pretty cool. Arrow tweeted out about 15 minutes ago, Steam is taking responsibility for the HFB hack. They said that it was through Steam support help requests, which, so you can send a help request when you can't sign into Steam or something along the lines of that. And that's why they were revisiting all the trades from HFB, which makes me think they're going to give the items back to HFB, which makes complete sense. So with this tweet specifically, what it's stating is what I thought actually earlier when I was actually going to record this video is that Valve was at fault. That's why they canceled the trades in the first place, which usually, of course, they're going to try and do everything they can, especially if it's their fault and they're accountable for it, because they don't want to seem like just a very non-consumer friendly website or just company in general. And I really hope he gets the skins back. This will be really, really good. And I think this will prove to the CS community that Valve can step in. But at the same time, if this wasn't Valve, this wouldn't have happened. And it would just be too bad, so sad. But what scares me is the fact that now someone can sign into your Steam account just by going to support. Sure, this is extremely unlikely to happen to anyone else. If not, why would someone else try to get into someone else's inventory, especially if everything's in storage units? You don't even know what the guy's got, and it might just be waste your time overall. Now, what really worries me in this sort of situation and position that Valve's been put in, obviously they messed up, right? And most people think right now anyway that they're most likely going to give the items back to the original person that had them. That is, of course, HFB. But the problem is the person who bought them on a third-party website, especially the person or the people anyway that bought these skins without knowing they were, of course, scammed and whatnot. They have no idea of knowing that at the time, which is perfectly fine. I mean, especially if you did it legitimately. People are thinking Valve actually might dupe the item and, of course, step in and give the person who bought these on a third-party website their money, essentially, or the item they bought, which this is going to create a lot of controversy. And this is what kind of worries me. Are we going to go back to the era of CS where duping items is a very big thing? I mean, there's a reason why we have, I'm not sure on the exact number, of M4A4 howls, because, you know, once upon a time back in the day, you would contact Steam support saying, hey, this guy scammed me for my knife for an M4A4 howl, and these were worth a quarter of the price they are now. And Valve would step in and instead of going after these people, they'd just dupe the item, give you the exact same item back with the exact same float. And that's why you have so many skins in the game sometimes, like the M4A4 howl situation, that are the exact same. And then that brings a lot off of the price on something like that anyway. But I don't know if they're going to do this again, if they give the items back, or even if they're going to give the items back to the other person who bought them on the third-party website or HFB in the first place, because this would really change up how things and how people go about things on CSGO. Will duping become a thing again? Will skins kind of go downhill from here? That's what most people would see, but I don't think it would really hurt the scene that much. But I think we'd see a lot more scams, and I think Valve would need a whole department literally just dedicated to this kind of stuff. Let me know what you guys think of this down below. What do you guys think of this current situation? Do you see a problem with it, or do you not really care all too much because maybe you don't have a huge CSGO inventory? I have a decent sized one, and if it was a couple years ago especially, I would be very, very concerned because I had over $6,000, $7,000 just in skins alone when I wasn't making YouTube videos. And I hope he gets his skins back, and at the end of the day, just know before buying stuff on a third-party website possibly that this could happen. Extremely unlikely, probably once in a lifetime, but that could. Of course, these third-party websites, especially if you're not buying from a very big and supported one, you're probably not going to get a refund either. And on top of that, if you have $5,000 or $6,000 on CSGO, I highly suggest maybe you go watch one of my videos I made last year talking about the iCloud scam in CSGO, which happens actually every once in a while. You'd be surprised on how many times I hear on Reddit, Twitter, and of course YouTube, this does happen to people, or especially in comments somewhere. So maybe if you have a few $1,000s in CSGO skins, maybe consider switching to an Android or something that is not traceable for Steam Authenticator. With that being said, hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please comment, subscribe, follow me on Twitter. Link in the description below. I know I do sound sick, but we got to make content for you guys anyway. Peace out.